Hey, everybody, and welcome to a special joint episode with my new friend, Pallavi Mahidhara. And she is the host of the Conscious Artist podcast. And together we have agreed to do a joint episode, which will be on both of our podcasts because we had the great privilege of meeting recently in real life and realized that we have so much in common, shared values, vision, and wanting to impact the music industry. So, Pallavi, welcome. And I'm excited to have this episode together with you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so nice that we got to meet in person. Like, we just connected on Instagram and I saw what you were doing and I thought it was so cool. And then it was just so nice when you wrote me a couple of weeks ago and you were like, I'm going to be near your concert venue. I can come. And I was like, what? It was
Yes.
great.
Yeah. I've been following you forever because I just love your playing. I think you're incredible. But
Thank
tell the
you.
story of how we actually started talking.
Well,
What was the reason? I
you
slid
know,
into your
it's,
DMs because, do you remember?
well, Frankie, that's true.
Yes. Yes.
We have to talk about Frankie, but it's funny because like I remember that I saw your account like once liking some of my stuff and I looked you up and I was like, "Oh, wait, this girl's really cool and she has this whole the Fearless Artist Mastermind. Like, wait, this is so cool. Like, I definitely should have her on my podcast." And then so I reached out to you and you
Yes.
were so enthusiastic and whatever and like I thought we would eventually deal with it. And then I posted a story about selling my robot vacuum, Frankie.
Your
Eh,
Roomba.
my Roomba, because it was time for him to find a new home.
Yeah. We come to those seasons in life.
He served his purpose in my home and he was ready to find a new owner. And then you DM'd me and said you were interested and that's been a whole journey. I don't know what mischief Frankie's been up to in your
You know
house. I
what?
apologize.
I came home the other day to find my MacBook computer on the ground because I had it charging, sitting on my computer. This is yeah, I was like, "Oh no, you got to really make sure there are no wires." Anyway, yes.
No wires.
No, no wires.
Frankie has
Frankie is
broken 3 of my vases because I had them on top of my like china cabinet and then I had like Christmas lights strung around the china cabinet
oh, ouch.
and
Yeah.
I had forgotten to lift up the wire as I normally do and he managed to eat the Christmas wire and then knock over one, two, three. Yeah,
Oh no. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
great.
Well, we bonded over Frankie, but originally when you did DM me to ask to be on your podcast, I was like, you were on my dream list of invites.
Oh
So
my
I
God, I'm
remember
so honored.
I was like jumping around the kitchen. I'm like, she wrote me. What? This is so backwards. I was like, oh, I gotta write her. So this is
Oh
just
my
meant to be.
God, I'm so
Yeah.
honored. No, I think you're so cool.
And then luckily you posted your France tour. I think you posted the day before. You just threw up this
I
photo and
know.
you're like, by the way, everyone, I'm coming to France. I'm like, what? Let me check my schedule. And then turns out I was just an hour away playing. So I managed to get over to yours and heard your beautiful program with Aurélien.
It was so nice. I couldn't believe you were like, "Yeah, I'll come drive there and come out
Yeah,
of
of
my
course.
way." And
Yeah, but I mean, how often do we get to see fellow people that we admire and colleagues in real life? You know, I think the more people I've met on Instagram and also getting to meet them in person, you already have this connection because you've already agreed on certain ways of seeing the world and like sharing ideas. And anyone who's putting their face online has a certain, I don't know, courage, I would say, that we've decided we have something that's worth talking about to overcome any anxiety or fear of judgment. And it's like, no, I've got a message. So I think that's how we end up finding each other.
I love it. I'm so excited that we're doing this today.
Yeah. So why don't you start and tell us about why you started the Conscious Artist and what you're all about?
Well, the Conscious Artist podcast is a safe space for conversations around mental health awareness for musicians, artists, and all human beings. I really wanted to create a platform to have the conversations that we don't have enough in the classical music world. This sort of came out of COVID and came out of a big life change for me. I went through a divorce and I did a lot of therapy. And I realized that there was so much that I was unlearning and needing to relearn. And it was completely rewiring my brain and my way of thinking and seeing the world and seeing how I fit into the world and what I'd like in life for myself. And I realized that there were just so many conversations that I wanted to share through my guests, so many topics that I felt we need to talk about and break the stigma on. whether it's performance injuries or stress or anxiety or depression or eating disorders or, anything. Like I've had a variety of guests on my show, both classical and non-classical musicians, but also doctors and scientists and psychologists and psychiatrists. And I think it's so important to have all of these conversations that have been deemed taboo for a long time, and give space for people to share their experiences and have others who may not have the courage to share their experience yet feel reflected in someone else's story. And so that's been the goal of the podcast, and I'm currently in season 8 now, which is
Wow.
amazing. And I have lots of visions of how I want to keep developing it. But one of the big things that's sort of developed through these last couple years are the workshops that I do, the Conscious Artist workshops, which are essentially about mental and physical health and well-being with your instrument in the performing arts, as an instrumentalist, as a vocalist, as a dancer, as an artist. And I teach these workshops at schools and universities and festivals and whatever. And it's been really, really great being able to not only share these stories and everything that I've learned and the experience that I've gained and the knowledge that I've gained through the podcast, but also in real life applicable workshops with tools, tangible tools and tangible ways of being healthier with ourselves as artists, as humans. So yeah, it's been really great.
Wow. I mean, this is just so beautiful. And when it comes to seeing, I mean, 8 seasons, you've had obviously a big impact in this. You've probably heard so many conversations that have had such a depth. Why do you think these conversations were not maybe out in the open? It sounds more like a closed circle conversation, and you're giving it visibility and a light. Why do musicians hesitate to talk about these topics?
Well, I think historically we've had repercussions when we do. If we speak about an injury that we have, if we have to cancel a concert because if we have an injury, we could be blacklisted. We could be viewed now as weak, as unreliable. Oh, that person has an injury. Well, their arm's never going to be the same. Maybe they're going to cancel again. Maybe we can't trust or rely on them. Or if there's any sort of like mental health issue. Oh, again, this person may not be reliable. They need some time off. They obviously can't cut it. This is the messaging that we've received. And it makes me really angry because every single person in the world deals with anxiety or depression at some point.
Yeah.
We all deal with stuff. We're all human. And
Yeah.
I don't think that art is about survival of the fittest. That's just my personal opinion. But I feel very strongly about it. And that doesn't mean that I don't try to show up my best every single time. I do. And I have also pushed myself through things that I shouldn't have. I have played concerts through injuries, and then I've had to stop, and then I've had to cancel. I've done that in the past. I will never do that again. Because
Wow.
now I'm not willing to risk my mental or physical health, short or long term. It's not
That's
worth it.
amazing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fully agree. What are some of the conversations that you've been having that are starting to shift this narrative that we get in this industry?
It's mostly still with fellow musicians that I think a lot of us share this feeling of we're all human and we're all doing our best.
Yeah.
I think, I think there's still a lot of pressure. Earlier this season, I had Jonathan Biss on my podcast, and we talked a lot about anxiety and how that shows up for us in different ways. And something that I feel still is that artists are sort of put on this pedestal where we're kind of expected to be perfect no matter what.
On and off stage.
On and off stage. And it doesn't matter whether we've had a bad day or we're sick or we're injured or we're going through heartbreak or, if it's a woman, if she's, that time of the month and she's like in excruciating pain. Doesn't
Or
matter.
pregnant. Yeah.
Or pregnant. Nobody cares about that. You have to show up and you have to do your absolute best. And if you don't, well, then you're going to get a scathing review, or people are going to start talking about you in not a nice way, or whatever it is. Like, I feel like there isn't enough grace for the fact that artists aren't robots. We're
Right.
human beings with minds and bodies that are not consistent on a daily basis, because humans are not consistent on a daily basis. We can train ourselves to try to be as consistent as possible, whether it's training our mind for mental resilience, being able to handle any given kind of situation to the best of our ability,
Right.
or to train our bodies, whether it's exercising or with, let's talk about piano, with piano, no matter what physical state we're in, that we're able to produce physically the sound and the sound quality and the music that we want to, whether we're sick or not, whether we're tired or not, whether we're pregnant or not, whatever, we can train ourselves, but it's not the same. And I think it's so important for us to recognize, accept, and trust that that's okay.
One thing that can help is thinking about the long term, as you were saying earlier, that if you push through now, it will cost later. And so it's about navigating this kind of ebb and flow. Like, when do I say, no, stop, this is enough? And when do I say, no, I need grit and I need perseverance and I need to keep going? How do you feel about that?
Very strongly. I grew up basically never saying no. Besides the fact that I was a chronic people pleaser, I also didn't think that I was allowed to say no.
Okay.
Also, when you're younger as an artist, you don't want to turn down any opportunity.
No, you're like, wow, the door is, someone's knocking.
Somebody wants me to play. Wow. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Right. So there was an element of that. And I don't think I would change it, because you need to go through the hard things in order to learn.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would change that. But what I've learned is that I can say no, that I have to choose what's best for me. And I've learned to be okay with that. Because at the end of the day, no one else is in my mind or in my body. I am the one that has to live in my body and live with myself, with my mind. It's also been a matter of like shifting values and shifting what's important in life. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, if you had asked me, what's your life goal? It would have been, I don't know, to solo with the Berlin Philharmonic and do XYZ, career-based. Now, if you ask me, what's your life goal? I'm going to tell you to live a peaceful and balanced life. That's it. That is my life goal.
I love this.
To find a way to like feel at peace and like constantly return back to equilibrium, whatever I'm doing in life. So that's something that's changed, that my priorities have changed. And I think that the two most important things for me in life are priorities and choices. And our choices generally reflect our priorities. And so what's important for me is the people that I spend my time with, the people that I love, my family, my partner, my friends, and the way I'm able to feel fulfilled, which is in the way that I'm able to give back, whether it's through performing or through teaching or through the podcast or through connecting with people. Those are the fundamental things that make me feel alive as a human being.
Wow.
So
Wow. It's a much broader picture of a fulfilled and successful life than what we've been trained as pianists. Like you're saying, the solo at the biggest hall is what the focus has been. Yeah.
Well,
How did
because
that
I think
shift?
society trains us to believe that success is very limited and you have one or two paths of success. And if you don't do that, you're not successful. And again, it's something that I've had to unlearn and rewire. And I am absolutely adamant about the fact that success is whatever you make it to be, not what anyone else says.
So for you, how has your definition of success evolved over this time of reframing?
For me, success is feeling alive with what I do, feeling joyful in the things that I choose to do in life, whether it's the time I spend with people or the work that I choose to put out. And because we still live in a very capitalistic society, to a certain extent, being able to earn a living doing that.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you do have to pay your bills. And so there does need to be, I think, a level of practicality there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not willing to sacrifice my health or my happiness. And I know that happiness can be a very controversial word, you know. For some people, happiness is like, you know, 5 really expensive cars. And for other people, happiness is like the promotion that they've been waiting for. And for other people, happiness is just like living a nice, quiet life with their family. So that's very personal, and you have to figure out what you define happiness as. But like, I'm not willing to put myself in a situation work-wise that makes me feel so drained that it takes the joy out of whatever it is I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were saying earlier, like, where do you need to like figure out how to take rest, and where do you need to figure out how to like push through and have grit and resilience? I think there's a difference between pushing yourself past your limitations and boundaries and being lazy.
Right.
And sometimes I have to like kick myself in the butt because I'm like, you're being lazy. You can do this. I know it feels hard, but you're capable, and you need to push yourself, because motivation comes from discipline.
Right.
And then there are other days where it's like, no, you need to rest. Your body is like, right now, your body is sick and it's telling you need to rest right now, and it's okay to rest. So yeah, I think but it takes time. I mean, it's only been in my 30s that I've been learning all of this.
I just want to highlight motivation comes from discipline. Can you expand a bit on that? Because I think you've learned something that maybe a lot of people need to hear that again.
A lot of times we think that motivation is inherent and immediate, but motivation comes from the feeling we get after having done something at least a few times, to the point where we're able to see some sort of result. Motivation comes from seeing the result, because we're like, oh, wow, like I can do this Pilates exercise, or I can practice those octaves, or I can run for 5 miles, or I can lift 10 kilos or whatever, right?
Yes.
It comes from seeing the result after having put in some work.
Yeah.
And for most of us, those first couple days or even weeks, even months of putting in the work is not the fun part. And that's where discipline comes in. That you have to push yourself or believe in yourself. You can look at it both ways. That you can get to the place where it becomes a joy to go back to that same difficult thing, because you know you're going to see those results, and you know that you're growing and learning and changing and expanding and gaining and whatever. So, I mean, I've always been a very disciplined person. When I was a kid, I used to do Suzuki when I was a kid. And then when I was 10, I switched to a private piano teacher. And this was in Chicago at the Music Institute of Chicago. And I had a teacher who was quite well known there, especially for training kids, Emilio del Rosario. And I had never done any scales or exercises, arpeggios, whatever, nothing in my life in Suzuki. And so for the first 6 months, he was like, okay, you're going to do scales. And he had a notebook for me for my scales. And he said, every day you take one scale and you do right hand alone slow 10 times, left hand alone slow 10 times, right hand medium tempo 10 times, left hand medium, right hand fast 10 times, like this. Then both hands 20 times slow, 20 times medium, 20 times fast. And my mom would get so like annoyed and laugh at me, because she's like, just write down that you did it. You don't actually
Oh,
have to do it. And I would sit there practicing every single scale, right hand 10 times slow, moderate, but like I would do that.
wow.
Again, like very people pleasing, goody goody two shoes, whatever. But it was also this thing of discipline that I was like, no, I have to do what the teacher said because I need to follow the rules and I need to do the work.
Yeah, but you're right to do so. I mean, you have a good teacher. You should listen to your teacher
Yes.
and embracing the process of that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could have been a little bit more efficient,
Okay.
but at the end of the day, I still think that like 10-year-old me needed the repetition and there was a reason for it.
Mm,
And of course, like if you're repeating something 10 times or 20 times, but you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you're likely making it worse.
right.
So my guess is I was probably paying attention and I was probably doing it well because I can see that my technique
Oh,
became
I
very
know
good.
how good your technique is. I turned your pages for the Franc Sonata and I was like, wow. I have not stopped thinking about my left hand since our conversation. So,
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. You've like really helped. I'm like thinking about it a lot.
Oh my God, I'm
Like
so
the
glad.
left hand is the melody.
Yeah, well, I'll explain what that means. I always tell I tell my students, and I think about this for myself, and this comes from my studying with Dmitry Bashkirov in Madrid. He'd always say, like, treat your left hand like it's a melody. How would you play the left hand if that's all that was written? And that forces you to actually open your ears and wake up a part of your brain that we kind of put on like passive autopilot with our left hand. Those of us that
Accompanist
are either
mode or
right hand
something.
dominant
Yeah.
or just simply more attuned to the melody. So, anyway, sorry, that was a little side note. But
Oh, I
yes,
love
my
that.
point is like discipline is something that like even when I eat, I'm very disciplined about what I eat. I don't limit my quantities and I don't deny myself things. But on a daily basis, I'm very mindful about what I'm putting in my body. I always prefer home cooked food.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat fast food. I don't eat junk food.
Mm-hmm.
I eat dark chocolate when I eat chocolate. So like I'm very I barely drink.
Okay.
I don't drink soft drinks. So things like that. Like I'm very mindful about what I'm putting in my body, but like I'll cook again because I'm cooking at home. Like I'll cook what should be a serving size for 2 or 3 people, but I'll end up eating it all. Because like it's just like rice and vegetables or chicken and vegetables or tofu and vegetables. It's really not that much.
Right.
But I absolutely love food and I love to eat. Like if eating could be a hobby, it would be my hobby. So if I don't want to say like you're only allowed to eat this much, because I think limiting ourselves is what turns things negative in our brain and which is what prevents long-term consistency.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say like I'm not allowed to eat that, it's going to be much harder than I will take care of everything that I'm eating so that I can have a little bit of that,
Wow.
you know? And
Yeah.
so like I don't like to control my portions in the sense that like I don't like to be told you can only have like 3 pieces of like small chicken and like 2 broccoli heads and like no, don't tell me that. Like I'm going to eat until I feel good, but I'm going to eat well,
Yeah.
you know? Things like that. So I'm very disciplined about that. I practice not because I love it, but because I always want to give my best on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then I know that that's going to take some amount of discipline
Mm-hmm.
of doing things that I don't necessarily want to do, but I know will benefit long term. I do my
And
taxes because I don't want to go to jail, but I don't actually like doing that.
I won't mention that my accountant messaged me yesterday, like, how are we doing? I'm like, I'll call you later. No. Motivation comes after the discipline. I love this. This is very helpful for all these things in life. I really appreciate this conversation because I think there's been such a anti-hustler that has come in to social media. You know, people saying, "Oh, hustler culture is dead. We don't want to grind because we want to avoid burnout. So we want to be more soft and more gentle." And I get that, but you're not going to get very far if you don't have the drive and the resilience and the grit. So I love that you're talking about finding this balance, like when to tell yourself, like, no, I know you can do this. Let's work on this. Believe in yourself, or like, no, I can tell you need to rest. In your workshops with the tools that you mentioned, is there something in there that you use that we can apply broadly to kind of help people navigate when to push, when to pull back?
Yeah, very much. I think you I think we need to find both a daily balance and a long-term balance. And full disclaimer, I am still searching for my long-term balance. I've gotten good at the daily balance. So that means listening to my body, seeing what it needs on a daily basis. How do I feel with my practice on a daily basis? And like, also full disclaimer, I don't always like practice every day. When I'm preparing for something, which is most of the time, I'm in practice mode. But if I've got a break, I will intentionally take those breaks off. Sometimes it happens that, and this is what I mean by long-term balance, I haven't found it yet. I'm the kind of person that does a little bit extreme. So I'll work, burnout.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then let's say I'll have like a month off and I won't touch the piano for a month. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not because I'm burnt out from playing piano or that I'm not enjoying playing piano. Music is my world, but I don't have the energy to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I
Mm-hmm.
need to be home, quiet,
Yeah.
resting. And
Yeah.
so I'm still searching for better long-term balance in my seasons,
Yeah.
because especially as I get older, the older we get, the longer recovery is,
Right.
in terms of coming back when we take a break.
Yeah.
But daily balance, for example, like listen to your body. How are you feeling today? Did you get a good night of sleep?
Mm-hmm.
Have you eaten on time today? Like I will now prioritize sleeping, eating, and exercising over practicing, because if I don't do those things, my practice likely sucks.
Yep.
You know, if I'm sleep
Yeah.
deprived and I'm like falling asleep at the piano, how am I supposed to be focusing? If I haven't eaten, for me, I get like low blood sugar and really lightheaded and hangry. Like not a good practice session. If I haven't exercised, my back hurts.
Right.
Because, the day I turned 30, my back was like, all right, we're done. And so I exercise so that I can sit at the piano and
Yes.
have like good posture and feel good with the instrument and not wake up with back pain every day.
Yes.
So that that I would say, it's like listen to your body. Are you like not focused while you're practicing? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you've been sitting for too long. Take 5 minutes. Take a walk around the room. Take a walk around the neighborhood. Make yourself a cup of tea. Drink some water. Have a little snack. Maybe a healthy snack. Maybe you need a nap. Maybe you need a 20-minute power nap.
I love naps. Big napper.
Maybe you're awake but not focused. Maybe you need to, and maybe you're thinking about all the emails you need to do. Okay, like maybe set a timer, 20 minutes, and just like try to take care of those emails that you've been stressing about that, like again, I say all these things and I'm aware that it's hard to implement. When
Mm.
I'm stressed, I will spend 3 hours cleaning my entire apartment and doing all the laundry and dishes before I feel that I can start focusing on practicing.
Interesting.
So,
Just clearing out that mental clutter maybe is being able to switch tasks. Sometimes I can't do that either. I can't do two things at the same time. I need to just do one and get it out of the way so that I can switch,
yeah,
even if that means like over focusing on one thing.
exactly. I mean, for me, like, and I always think about it and I'm telling myself, like, you could clean the house or do the dishes after you finish practicing, but you can't practice after 9 p.m. because you don't want to upset your neighbors. So why don't you do that stuff after? You can do those emails after 9 p.m. But no, it's sitting here. It's like gnawing in my brain. I'm not able to focus. I'm like, okay, well then just do it.
Yeah.
Because at least that, like, it's better if it means taking time away from the piano in that moment, because half our lives are admin.
Yes.
If it means doing that now because that is part of your job, then so be it, because it's better to do that and then be able to focus than
Yep.
half-assing both. Am I
Yep.
allowed to say that on the podcast?
You can say that. Yes, you can. You have such a beautiful self-awareness and also like a really kind of gentle parenting inner voice coming through. Is that something that's been developing over time? Has it come easily for you?
No, a lot of therapy.
Me too. I mean, I'm right with you.
A lot of therapy.
Yeah.
I want to ask you so many questions. But yes, a lot of therapy. I think it also partly started with the way that I was teaching my kids, my students, which is before COVID, even, where I started to be a lot more mindful of how I was teaching them and consciously or subconsciously not doing what my professors did. And like, I loved my professors, but you know, some of them
Yep.
were old generation, old school,
Yep.
really tough love. And I think that you can achieve results without yelling
Yes.
or without instilling fear.
Yep.
Um, so, yeah, I mean, it's funny the way you say like gentle parenting. I think it is the way I would have parented should I have
Mm.
wanted kids, you know?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
it's something that instead I'm able to apply with my students. And I just want to be able to nurture their whole selves, not
Wow.
just help them with their piano technique.
Mm.
You know
Hmm.
what I mean?
And why is that important to nurture their whole being and not just focus on the piano?
Because we are not separate. We as artists are not separate from who we are as humans.
Hmm.
And people can try to separate that all they want, but you can pretty much tell who someone is as a human being by how they play. Some are more open
Hmm.
and like very vulnerably honest.
Hmm.
Some are much more closed, but you can tell. You can tell right away. Um, and I fundamentally believe that being successful, in quotes, at your job is not the most important thing in life. I fundamentally believe that living life means thriving, not surviving, you know? And I know you guys love that in the Fearless Artist
Yes,
Mastermind.
that's our I was just wearing my hoodie this morning.
I
It
know.
said we're thriving, not starving. And
Yeah.
I went to my personal trainer, he's French. He's like, "What does thriving mean?" And I had to try and explain it in French. And it was like, "Oh, it's a good word to try and explain."
But
I'm like,
I
yeah.
fundamentally believe that like it doesn't mean thriving doesn't mean, you know, being a millionaire or having 200 concerts a year or whatever. Thriving to me, again, is the same as success. It means feeling joyful with what you do, feeling fulfilled with what you do, living a life that feels purposeful and a pleasure to
Mm,
be in, that you feel alive, that you don't feel like every day is a drag
yeah.
or that every day is a struggle. And there are days that are struggles, and there are weeks and months and years that are struggles. Life is not going to be all like sunshine and rainbows all the time. That's not what I'm saying. Like, this is not toxic positivity here. Like, that's not
Right.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I intentionally, every single day, try to make decisions and take choices that allow me to live the life that I want to live. Allow me
Mm,
to have a life that I am choosing intentionally and actively every day. Accepting that some decisions are going to be harder and less fun because I know that my long term goal is getting to this place here and I need to get through XYZ to get to the end, whatever that end, so to say, goal is.
hmm. Hmm.
You know, there's some steps you have to do, but for me, that's what thriving is, and being able to intentionally choose your life and live the life that you want.
That's a great definition. I love this. Can you give an example of something that you would say no to now that maybe you wouldn't have said no to previously?
I mean, there are multiple examples, but like, for instance, my parents have always wanted me to do a doctorate, like a PhD or a DMA, right? Because from their generation, getting that third highest degree opens all the doors for you. It's a
Mm.
sort of a, I think also a sign of education level and but it also opens a lot of doors. And certainly in the US, there are plenty of, universities where you have to have a doctorate in order to even apply as a professor. That is absolutely not something I have interest in. And I was always a very good student, very like Hermione, like, I have no interest in that. Absolutely no interest in that.
Mm-hmm.
It fundamentally does not feel right for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm also of a different generation. And now in today's world, I don't think degrees are valued anywhere as much as they used to be in the past.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many entrepreneurs that don't even have degrees and are wildly successful. So I don't think education is always based on degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I think life experience plays a large role in that as well.
Yep. Experiential learning, learn by
Yeah,
doing. Yeah.
absolutely. Another, for instance, was, this was many years ago. This was before I understood what intuition is. But I was finishing up my studies with Bashkirov in Madrid and was applying for master's. And I applied in the US for safety. So like Juilliard, Yale, whatever. But what I really wanted to do was stay in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to study with Eldar Nebelson at Hans Eisler. But all of the American schools have their auditions in like February.
Mm-hmm.
You get notified by maybe March, and you have to give an answer by April.
Mm-hmm.
And Hans Eisler auditions were in June. So I got into all these schools and then had to defer because I really wanted to take this audition. And so I deferred for a year and I took the audition at Hans Eisler. And that was the only school, by the way, that I could apply in Germany because that's the master's program at Hans Eisler was the only one that didn't require a language certificate.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't speak German, still don't. But so like that was the only school I could apply to. And there were 98 pianists that auditioned, and they took one.
Oh my gosh.
So if I had not gotten that spot, I would have been without a school for the entire year.
Wow.
And that was something where maybe 5 years before that, I would have maybe listened more to my parents, but like I could just feel it in my gut. I was like, I need to stay in Europe. I need to stay here. I want to study with this person. I want to continue this lineage from Bashkirov. And I'm very glad I did, because then 2 months later after entering the school, I did the Geneva competition and then I won second prize. So I do feel like that was all connected.
Wow.
I don't know. I think it's like, I would say that learning how to listen to your intuition is maybe the first step.
Mm-hmm.
That's also something we're not taught.
And we are taught that as artists. So it's interesting that we're not taught that in a different way in life.
Well, actually, do you think that? Do you think we're taught that as artists?
Yeah, as I was saying it, I was like, wait, it depends, I guess, on your teacher.
Now
Yeah.
I lead from my
Yeah.
intuition as an artist,
Yeah.
but I don't know if, like, what was your experience? Now I need to ask you questions because I have so many questions. What
Yeah.
was your experience studying music growing up with intuition?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think my very first teacher, I had her from age 5 to 10. And I would say that was just so creative and fun and no pressure and, encouragement and a healthy relationship. And then I switched to a more educated teacher, let's say. And that's where really like a lot of the toxicity, I would say, came in, like a little bit of shaming, like, you're only doing 3 hours a day, you should be doing 4, and like it's not good enough, and just kind of that like kind of hypercritical voice, which was amplified by being raised also in a critical home. Yeah, and then I think my teacher in Montreal, he had to like rebuild my technique, so I'm not sure that that was the place to be teaching me intuition, because it's like, well, actually your fundament is like, we gotta like, you're a little sideways here, let's get you straight. And I think by then my confidence was shaken, because I think with that first teacher, the world was like open and everything was great and I was good at it and it was fun and everything was, and then all of a sudden these kind of parameters come in, like, oh no, this is wrong, and like this isn't quite allowed, or you're off here, or you didn't hear this. And so then you start, I think I went through a lot of like doubting.
Mm.
And so then it was like you're really relying on your teacher to tell you like how to do something. And it was only maybe until after I left the institution that I started to realize like I need to develop my own voice. But I don't think I learned that in the institution. Probably he would have been able to take me there, but I personally wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there's a pinpointing moment or like a general sort of period of time, when did you start to listen to your intuition and realize that you can trust it?
Oh man, as an artist or as a person, or are you not
Oh,
disconnecting those
both.
two?
I don't know. It could be, they could be separate.
Oh man, I think my musical voice is probably some things are so effortless for me. Like with this whole Coldplay pop stuff that I play, like I sit at the piano and I get into flow instantly, and this it just pours out of me, and I'm like untouchable, and I know that I'm in the groove and I'm just in it, and I just know that it's my place, you know? And I'm trying to bring that into my classical playing too, where I can stop this perfectionism, critical, this inner critic voice. And it's, was the attack on that right? What about the onset? You didn't take enough rhythm. You have too much pedal. Like all of those like nattering thoughts, I'm still trying to silence and just try and get into that flow state. So that's actually been very helpful to be also playing other genres because I'm
Mm.
like, let's connect this really healthy expression and bring that into your classical
I
training.
love
And like,
that.
let's try to connect that side of you because that side of you is like happy and shining and great. So like, let's bring that into this other side of you that just wants to kick you all the time, you know? Um, yeah, that's been interesting. And then as a person, I mean, we've talked about this very briefly. I also went through a divorce and my entire world shattered 2020. And so I think from that moment, it was really about rebuilding and learning who I was separate from the other. And that was a whole saga. Drama is the wrong word. No, it was a very, very difficult period. And I very rarely talk about it actually. So I'm only now getting to the point where I even say that it's part of my story because I don't want to be ashamed of anything that we go through as humans. But yeah, it was obviously a very pivotal moment in my life and learning to trust who you are as a person. What do you think? How do you feel? How are you going to live your life now that there's a new path before you? And yeah, that's been a long journey. Lots of
And
therapy.
do you, oh man, lots of therapy. Do you feel that going through what you went through and learning to rediscover yourself and trust yourself again has helped you as an artist? Like, have you felt that bleed into your artistry?
I think absolutely yes. I'm not sure if it is something that I've thought about concretely. I know that it's there
Okay.
because one of the ways that I think helped me heal was remember who I was before
Hmm.
and the little girl at the piano and the energy and the enthusiasm and the excitement, and I'm a very high energy person. So it's like who is that part of me and how can I connect with her? So like I would think often of 16-year-old Michelle. I played this Prokofiev toccata when I was 16 and I had to learn it quick, and it was just fun and I was good at it and it was something that I loved practicing, and I coming back to parents being annoyed at practicing. I like my poor mother had to listen to this Prokofiev toccata. She called it the chicken song because it has like so much articulation. She's like, "Don't play the chicken song." Like,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
so I'm like, let's get back to her. Where's that part of me? And this is also what you learn in therapy, like these parts of you or revisiting those ages of you where you experience something that you want to keep,
Hmm.
right? Like we don't abandon those previous versions of ourselves. We just kind of keep the golden thread through all the seasons of our life. And so that's been a big part of just remembering, yeah, what's good about those versions and what do I want to keep going forward.
I love that. That's really beautiful. It's so funny because I remember different things in different parts of my life, but a large portion of like college and high school and childhood is like somewhat blocked out. And not because like I lived a traumatic life. I mean, we all deal with our own traumas and difficulties, but as a whole, it's not that there was anything big. But I don't think that I was happy in certain areas. Like I didn't enjoy high school. I also like wasn't sleeping because I would
Mm,
practice 8 hours a day and
hmm
then do my homework after dinner and then finally go to bed at like 2 or 3 in the morning and then had to wake up at 6 to go to school. Like, so I don't, I hated that.
Yeah.
I loved playing. I was playing
Yeah.
concerts and doing some, like national competitions, and was very successful at them and whatever. And so like I felt good. And in fact, I was in high school, I was very much like a big fish in a small pond kind of thing. That allowed me to feel always very motivated to work because I liked being at the top of that. As soon as I got to Curtis, it was a whole different ball game, because now all of a sudden I was a small fish in not a very large pond, but an extremely talented pond. And like everyone was just so brilliant. And like there were these like, I entered as like, 17, 18 years old. And there were these like 11, 12, 13-year-old genius kids. And I'm like, what am I even doing here? And so that was definitely a little bit difficult because I didn't know if I belonged. I didn't know what I had to offer now because it wasn't so obvious to me. And that really shook my confidence. And I think that's part of growing up and going to music conservatory and whatever. But I definitely had like imposter syndrome, and it was also, mid 2000s. So there were a lot of things you didn't talk about and you didn't have support for. And then when I remember by the time I graduated from Curtis, I really didn't like who I was as a person. I felt like so disconnected from my core, but I had no idea how I had gotten there. And I think now looking back, I can say a lot of it was people pleasing and, trying to fit in when it's not right for you, and caring about what other people think, and lack of priorities, good priorities, and stuff like that. You're a kid. You're a kid at 18. You're not an adult. You're a kid. And I remember part of why I wanted to go study in Europe. First of all, I had always dreamed of going to study in Europe, but because it's the birthplace of Western classical music, and I had been traveling to Europe quite often for, festivals or master classes or whatever, but like I really wanted to go study there. And I finally felt ready after college. Like I didn't feel ready before. But also because I wanted to go to a place where no one knew me. I wanted to start fresh as a human being. And I did. And I allowed myself to figure out, so to say, who is Pallavi? Who is Pallavi genuinely? And it's so interesting because actually it was more closely related to child and high school Pallavi. College Pallavi was like, I don't know who she is.
She's coping.
She had a lot of walls and a lot of masks, I think. And I also got to Europe realizing that I did not maybe put in the most effort that I could in college because I was living alone for the first time and I was like, wow, freedom. But I got to Madrid and I was like, I'm coming here to study with a teacher that is going to kick me in the butt for sure. And I'm ready for it. And I've never in my life worked so hard as I did for the 4 years I studied with Bashkirov. And it was the absolute best decision I've ever made in my life.
Wow.
So is it going to study with him that changed my life? Is it moving to Europe that changed my life? I don't know. But all of those things combined like really allowed me to start finding who, like my core, who is Pallavi, what is important to me, who do I want to be as an artist. And of course, now it's taken the next 10, 15 years to recognize that who Pallavi the human is and who Pallavi the artist is are one and the same. And I lead from my values from both every day, intentionally, because otherwise, if I'm not true to myself, If I'm not authentically myself, I don't feel good. And I don't know, life is too short to be miserable. So.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much to unpack and share with all of this. For anyone listening who is unfamiliar with thinking this way, of the self-awareness that you have, of leading from your values, what's one thing that you would say to them to get them started?
You can start with something really small. If you're not sure how to connect with your values, or you're not sure what's right for you, or there's some like small kind of exercises that you can do. Like, for example, you can ask yourself, let's say the time has come for a meal, lunchtime, dinner time. What do I feel like eating tonight? Most of us will be like, oh, I don't know, whatever's easiest, right? I don't do that. I actually eat what I'm craving.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is, do I want something warm or cold?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want something warm like soup or cold like salad? That's the first question. It's cold outside. Okay, I want something warm and cozy. Okay. Are you looking more for like, and you imagine yourself like eating this? Like, do you want something like dark leafy greens? Do you want bright like sweet potatoes, carrots? Like, what are you leaning towards? Do you want something more comforting like a stew? Or do you want like a stir fry? Or, and you can just like ask, I mean, of course, this is also relevant more if you actually, one, care about what you eat, and two, like to cook or have the possibility to have these different cuisines. But I think just something small like that can start to train our bodies and our minds to what we're responding to. Like, what color do I feel like wearing today? And just give yourself two choices. It's like kids, this or that. Because if you say you have 10 options to choose from, maybe you'll get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want light colors or dark colors today? Okay, today I'm feeling darker colors. Great. Blues or grays? Blues or blacks, whatever. Purple or black. Like you choose a color. Maybe that's like a small way, and it's sort of like you'll start to notice the internal resistance some way or the other. Like for me, if I'm not comfortable in a situation, or I feel nervous about something, and I'm not talking about concert stage nerves, but I'm talking about, I don't know, I don't think I feel right with this person. This person's giving me weird vibes, or I don't know about this concert. Like the whole thing there's just something that feels a little bit off. You start to notice, like, does your chest feel a little tense? Do your neck muscles here feel a little bit clenched? Like, I've noticed when I am around people where I feel like my voice is not heard, my neck muscles start to get really tense because I start to feel like I'm straining and pushing my voice.
It's so
so interesting.
Yeah.
Or if I'm around someone, let's say you're having a meeting and like, I don't know, something feels a little bit off, I'll notice that my body will start to do little tics, like my legs are crossed, and then I'll start like shaking my foot like this, or like I'm fidgeting with my hands a lot. Whereas when I'm, with my friends or my family or my partner, and I'm very relaxed, my nervous system is very relaxed, my body is calm. And so, like, I don't know, maybe it's something like that. Like, start to notice, like, are you holding tension in your body in relation to something that you're trying to figure out, trying to decide? It takes practice. Like, there was a very defining moment for me of realizing that I will never doubt my intuition again. It's related to my divorce, but that for me was like a switch. I was like, oh, okay, I will never doubt my intuition again. Now I know all of those feelings that I was having in my body, where they were, what they felt like and where they were sitting. I know I was right. Now I can listen to that. Never going to doubt it again.
Wow.
So, I hope that's not the case for most people. I hope they don't have to deal with things in that way. But I don't know. I would say it's a practice. Like most things in life, it's a practice learning to trust your gut. So,
Wow. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and just the softness with which you approach your artistry and yourself. I think you have a lot of self respect, and that models for other artists of how to have high standards, but also kindness and compassion for yourself. So I would like to encourage everyone on the Fearless Artist to go check out the Conscious Artist podcast and definitely your workshops. I'm really interested in knowing more about that.
thank
And
you.
how can people find you? How can they follow you?
Um, you have the Conscious Artist podcast. You'll find it on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcasts. The Conscious Artist Official on Instagram at the Conscious Artist Official. You'll also find my piano page there at Pallavi Mahidhara Pianist website. Everything's there. But I just want to say thank you for all the work that you're doing with the Fearless Artist Mastermind, because I love the way you are encouraging people to stop being perfectionists, stop feeling stuck or disbelieving in their own strengths. You know, I always say that we all have strengths, and I don't like to call them weaknesses. I like to call them challenges. So we
I love
all
it.
have strengths and challenges, but we all in the world have different strengths, and we all have something to offer. And there is room in the world for all of us if we focus on what we really connect with. We will find our community. We will find the people that relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But leaning on that, I think, also ties back to learning how to listen to yourself and be your authentic self. Because when we're true to ourselves, we're able to carve the path that makes sense for us and live a life of intentionality and awareness, consciousness, fearlessness. So I really appreciate everything that you do in your coaching sessions, and just everything that you've created. It's we so need it.
Oh, means so much. Thank you so much for your encouragement and for seeing us. And yeah, that's definitely the heart of what we're doing. So yeah, I look forward to more. We'll work together again, I'm sure.
Of course. I can't wait.
And thanks everybody for checking out the episode. Make sure you follow Pallavi and the Fearless Artist, and we'll see you on the next episode. Be fearless.